Welcome back to Issues in the Environment. Today we'll be discussing waste production and the implications that this has on the globe. There are 5 forms according to McCormick: human, medicinal, agricultural, industrial and toxic. So tell us, why are we talking about waste today?
Well, 0.57 million tonnes of plastic enters Mediterranean waters every year, according to WWF. The World Bank has also stated that currently about 2.01 billion metric tonnes of municipal solid waste are produced annually worldwide, and by 2050, waste production across the globe is predicted to reach 3.40 billion.
This waste is affecting the natural world. The World Bank also stated that currently 5% of greenhouse gases are produced by waste management. Moreover, the production of this waste is harming ecosystems, polluting oceans and decreasing diversity.
Here's the thing, it's not just the natural world, it is also affecting international relations and development. According to the United Nations, one of the ways that we are dealing with this is the 3 Rs, known as reduce, reuse and recycle. Reduce calls for waste reduction by using things that you already have until the very end of their life cycle. Reuse calls for reutilization of goods and materials. And finally, recycle calls for reutilization of waste as resources.
So how are these implemented into our daily lives?
Waste production can start with actions as simple as bringing your own bag, not buying overpackaged goods, and recycling.
So those are localised ways of dealing with waste. But waste is a global issue, frequently tackled on a national level. So tell us a bit about different countries' coping mechanisms, and which countries are specifically tackling the issues of waste well.
Well, due to the rising concerns surrounding waste and its impact, countries such as Sweden and France have implemented certain strategies. France, for instance, has a ban on food waste in supermarkets, which has reduced their waste output. Moreover, Sweden is one of the world leaders in waste management, with only 1% of generated waste put in landfills. On the political side, Klein points out Sweden got ahead of the game by subsidizing businesses that focus on non-toxic waste before this subsidization was made illegal by the World Free Trade Agreement. Now, countries are holding each other accountable when they attempt plans like this for being involved in illegal practices.
Unfortunately, other countries are not engaging with these issues in the same way. We look at the United States, whose size allows it to make waves globally. Instead, the US are producing unsustainable amounts of plastic waste and then exporting them to China for years in order to meet the national recycling levels on paper. In 2018, however, China implemented the National Sword Policy, which restricted their waste capacity. It also recently reported that China has recently joined the Paris Agreement, which suggests that they may be attempting to go in another direction in terms of waste management.
Wow, that sounds like a significant shift. 2 superpowers changing the way they're dealing with waste? This must have forced the US to look elsewhere to export their plastic waste though, right?
Well, this is the thing. While China is moving in the right direction, the US seems to be taking some steps back. According to the Plastic Pollution Coalition and a study by the US Census Bureau, 78% of US waste is now being sent to countries that are not equipped to deal with this proper waste management. This means that waste is ending up in massive open-air dumps or in the oceans.
The US isn't the only country dealing with their waste poorly. For years, Italy has dumped industrial and chemical waste into the Venice Lagoon. One scientific paper published in Scientific Reports found that the lagoon is an underwater dump, with waste not only sitting on the surface but also covering the ocean floor. The Venice Lagoon also has parts that have become anoxic, meaning there's no oxygen in the water to support life due to fertilizer runoff, meaning a loss of biodiversity in the area.
Speaking of the Mediterranean, the European Environment Agency said that countries such as Cyprus, Croatia and Greece still put 3/4 of their solid waste into landfills. Moreover, another report by the WWF, focusing on Turkey, found that they only recycle 0.4% of their waste and have no landfill tax, and no policies or plans in action to change these problems. New Zealand has a similar policy in which most of their waste goes to landfill.
Are there any specific factors that affect why New Zealand manages their waste so poorly?
Yes. One factor affecting New Zealand is geographical isolation. It relies almost entirely on landfills. Whereas collective action is more attainable for countries such as France and Sweden due to their involvement in the EU, UN and Paris Agreement, they are able to use those ties with other countries to work together and reach their waste management goals. This collectivity is significant. As mentioned before, this is a global issue which can be most successfully dealt with on a global level. This view is expressed by Macron in a joint session of Congress last year, in which he said that we should work together because there is no planet B.
All in all, waste is a lot more complicated than it first appears. It's important to know that these insights and statistics don't give us the full picture. There's a lot of illegal waste management and creation for which we have no statistics. And how these organizations choose to show their statistics will depend on their cultural values and where their funding comes from. It truly is a tricky business.
Indeed, These countries we've talked about are also at two extreme ends of the waste management, which gives us insight to different national and regional systems, but significantly does not reflect the entire global image.
Thank you for joining us to find out about waste as a global issue that is growing out of control and must be treated seriously.